I would rather lose to a competitor than lose to doing nothing.
Have your own vision and don't just listen to the short-term, needs of clients.
We've built the product, and although customer requested it, we killed it.
Hello and welcome to Spotlight, where we host tech executives and founders to discuss key learnings from their journey and insights about entrepreneurship and tech. I'm Nir Sabato, I'm an investor at Entrée Capital, and I have the most amazing pleasure to host Elad Schulman, the co-founder and CEO of Lasso. Elad, thank you so much for joining here.
Thanks, Nir. Not the first time in this office, but definitely first time in this setup. So a pleasure to be here, and let's just get this rolling.
Absolutely. So maybe just to kick things up, I'd love if you can start by sharing a little bit about your background and what led you to this point sitting here.
So I'm Elad, I'm the CEO and one of the founders of Lasso. I spent the last 25 years in the industry, always around cybersecurity and monitoring, from small companies to large companies, always on the vendor side. In 2017, I actually officially started my entrepreneurial journey with the launch of SegaSec. I was the CEO and one of the co-founders, startup in the brand protection anti-phishing space. And at the beginning of 2020, we got acquired. At late 2022, like a lot of other people, I started working with GenAI with my own hands. I was actually sitting in my kitchen and doing some stuff. My wife was talking to me. I wasn't listening to her. And she asked, "What are you doing?" I told her, "I'm building a chatbot and then I'm breaking it." So as I was playing with it, I saw cyber really breaking in front of my eyes. And I said, okay, this is the next big thing. I want to get back into the game.
Amazing. And maybe one liner about Lasso, what it is you're doing.
So Lasso is basically enabling organizations to get into the GenAI era, but do it in a safe and secure way. Whether your employees are using chatbots like ChatGPT, Gemini, and others, or you're building things on top of GenAI models, or you're getting into the agentic AI these days. So wherever you're touching those technologies, someone is there to secure you, and this is Lasso.
Amazing. So we're going to touch on this and double click on what it is you're doing today very soon. But before that, I wanted to ask you, as a CEO and a founder, when you started Lasso, what are the key lessons that you learned and reflections that you had on SegaSec? What it is that you're trying to do different?
One of the main things when I understood that I want to go and build a new company is, first of all, to have a team. And as a person of trust, it's very hard for me to build trust from 0 to 100 in no time. And I said, okay, I need the team, and this is why I reached out to people that worked with me in the past, that I invested in them. I needed the full trust from day one. Second, and this is something that I learned from my mistakes, although it was a very successful journey, I was very arrogant in the first time. And I said, I don't need investors, I don't need advisors, I can do everything on my own. So from day one, the emphasis was, who are going to be our partners, whether it is the investors, whether it is going to be the advisors that are complementing things that I need, my co-founders need. And definitely if you're running to build a big company, which we'll talk about in a bit, from day one, you need all the help you can get, because it's a lot about effort, it's a lot about luck, and it's a lot about good people that surround you, not just your partners, not just your employees, but everyone which is surrounding you. I think this is one of the key things that I would want to pass on to other entrepreneurs that are starting their venture.
Yeah, no, I think that's really helpful, and I think we were together at least in a certain part of the way, and I actually saw the emphasis that you put on bringing in the right talent, the right investors, the right advisors to help you on your journey. So I think that's a very kind of like mature state of mind, and definitely a second timer kind of approach. When you started Lasso, there was really not clear if there's going to be a category around GenAI protection. How did you came up with the idea to Lasso and the concept of GenAI security? Was it kind of like a very deliberate research, or just a eureka moment that you said to yourself, this is it, this is what is missing in the world, and I'm going to be the one who's building it?
So it was more of the latter, more of a eureka. One of the things that I realized in the few years before Lasso is that for me, cybersecurity is very similar in all of its aspects, similar problems, similar solutions. And I said, okay, I need something new. And it was kind of like I was looking for something to emerge. So I looked at this, and I know cybersecurity very well. I know the solutions, and I said, who is going to solve that? And I was looking at the different disciplines in cyber and said, no one is equipped to handle this new emerging market. So this problem is something that I want to address. But then it's nice that you have the thesis, but I started digging into how companies are using it and started envisioning, okay, how is this going to look like in the future, and started building a thesis. And then a lot of things connected. It was very methodic, but we realized that this is going to be a very big problem, and a lot of it is vision. The last 2 years were proving to ourselves that it's not just the vision and what we believed and felt in our bones, but that it is real. But it was really new problem that emerged. We want to solve it. We want to build a big company around it.
I think that what got us excited, except for the team and the vision and the energy, was really the understanding that there's no clear incumbent that can just, in a few clicks of a button, can solve this new problem and secure this new attack surface. So it's a very new territory for everyone, and we thought this is the right place where big and meaningful startups can create big businesses. So when you start a new company and with the bold vision of being the category leader, what does it mean? What practical measures did you take to be the new leader in this category when there's so many other competitors and the market sometimes seems too crowded?
Definitely on the technology side, you need to understand very well not just what the market is telling you right now, and these are the problems, but also be very bold and say, I know where this is heading. Some of it might require education, but I really understand where the market is going, and while customers are not necessarily there, the path to build a big company goes through understanding what needs to happen in the market. And some of our competitors went into and focused just on what the market was telling them, and everyone was doing that, but they neglected the future. So that is nice for a short period of time, and definitely if you want to build a startup which would have a fast exit like we had before, that's definitely something that works. And second, I think, and this is what you see right here, is understanding that marketing matters from day one. Building a brand that people recognize, people can relate to, that it is memorable. So right now, everyone or most people know what Lasso is, and at the worst case, they're saying, the Cowboys. You see it right now with things like Wiz and Sierra and others, that the brand really matters. People relate to it, people understand it, it builds trust. And especially in the world of cyber, that the messaging is similar, the colors are similar, you need to be a bit bolder, try to think very much forward and be bold. That is what it takes.
I really like the point that you said about, have your own vision and don't just listen to the short-term, needs of clients, but really try to see how the market will unfold and what products and solutions will have long-standing value. So I think that's something that is, of course, if you're right about it, then the reward is huge because you're doing something that is truly differentiated. I want to ask you a question about competitors. How do you sleep at night? No, I'm joking, but what I mean is that, every day we see a different competitor in this space, and trying to understand your mindset as a CEO, is all this competition actually good for you? Are you scared that one of them will do something that you're completely missing? How do you set yourself apart?
So first of all, I don't sleep much. That's part of my job. Second, in a new market, you want competitors. You don't want to be alone. So competition is good, and something that we've talked many times. I would rather lose to a competitor than lose to doing nothing. So we definitely embrace competition, and because this market is so huge and will only grow, the fact that there are many players in this market is okay. We need to be careful about each and every one of them, the small ones, the ones like us, the big ones. So keeping track about them all the time, understanding where they're going, not being distracted too much. We need to see if it matches our vision, our plans, and definitely what you mentioned, whether we're missing something. So if a lot of competitors are doing the same move, is it something which is dangerous for us, or is it something good that will position us better because they're going in a wrong direction?
Cyber is a kind of like a mission critical infrastructure, right? It's not a toy. It's not something that buyers buy lightly. What it is that you do that can help you build trust with these clients and then convert them to be, meaningful contracts from the company.
So I think that one important lesson is that eventually people are doing business and not companies. So you need to connect with the person on the other end and to connect in a meaningful and real way. So being very genuine about what you have, what you don't have, and when you're explaining to them why you're not doing that, that creates trust, because saying yes to everything is easy, but then you'll fail later on, and then the trust is broken. So being really honest about what you do, really trying to understand their pain points, trying to show value from day one, working with partners that are working with that customers. And when they're bringing you to the table, they're already bringing their trust to the game.
Right.
And they're building the trust with you.
I think the combination of integrity and speed is actually really interesting and might serve as a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
So one of the things I'm curious about, as an investor, is how companies are using AI and kind of like what are the different products, solutions, technologies that enterprise clients look for when they think of embracing an AI. So I'm curious to understand your perspective on what has happened so far and where do you think the world will go in the near future, like a year, 2 years, we're going to be.
Last year, we saw a lot of organizations that are trying to figure out what is GenAI, how can it help our business, our products, and we saw them playing with all sorts of different use cases. And I think that the inflection point was in Q3 last year where we started seeing things rolling into production. And this year we see a lot of them that are rolling into production and they really figured out what to do with it. So at the beginning it was, how can I introduce a customer service chatbot to my website? And one thing that we predicted is that GenAI LLMs are going to be in the basis of every application in the future. I think that this is the year we'll start seeing that. And definitely agents, anything that we can automate and send an agent to do something on our behalf. We're starting to see experiments in the same way that we saw experiment with LLMs last year. We're starting to see experiments now. We believe that in 2026, we'll see this more. However, it might take a bit longer because we thought that LLMs are going to be widespread in 2023. It wasn't the case. It started in 2024 and now in 2025. But the market is still running at ridiculous paces. If we thought that the internet revolution was huge and the cloud revolution was huge, this revolution is going to top both of them combined.
What do you think founders today should focus on? Is it application layer, or should they try to build, these shovels for the gold miners that going to build these applications? Focus more on infrastructure, sell to enterprise, sell to SMBs. What is your kind of like advice you would give to founders that start companies today around AI?
Being an entrepreneur is really hard. Most odds are against you, so you're
Right.
trying to improve your odds. So this is an area that huge amount of money invested on the nation level, on the army level, in other places, and not in Israel. And until the state of Israel will invest tons of money into building the next gen infrastructure, it will be hard for the entrepreneurs to go and leverage that. Building, on the applicative layer or other tools and things around that is something that you can improve your odds, but you need to be careful because the industry is running so fast that you need to be careful that no one of the big players or the infrastructure players will go and swoop it under your feet like OpenAI are killing startups on a daily basis. Another thing is that if people do not understand that they need to leverage the power of AI, they're out of the game. So even for us, everything that we're trying to do, we're trying to experiment with AI as much as we can. We're learning how to adopt it and embrace it as a multiplier.
But I completely agree. I think one of the key things that when we evaluate companies, I'm trying to ask, is there a clear incumbent that your product is on their roadmap and they already have the brand and distribution? And what you might achieve, you might have a year gap, right? Head start, you might reach, 50 clients at best. But if Microsoft or Perplexity or OpenAI is going to launch that, then it's going to be very, very hard to build a successful, meaningful company in that space. The big question, I guess a lot of founders ask themselves, but we ask as well, is how do you build a moat? How do you build where so much of the value is created in the models themselves, right? How can you make sure you're not just a thin wrapper and that you have substantial business value to your clients?
One of the things is going a bit against the stream and not doing what everyone else is doing, which might be easy and what the customer needs right now, because then it is very hard to differentiate. And I think that also in our world, one of the things that we didn't discuss, but I'd like to highlight, is that because this world is running so fast, we are in a constant situation that we have unknowns constantly. And we have to embrace it, both from a culture perspective. So we need to move very fast and change things. And our roadmap is getting broken time after time. And the second thing is that we need to be able to provide solutions very, very fast to new problems in a way that it does not require weeks or months of development. Sometimes it takes us days or even hours to provide a new solution to a new problem that emerged. So we're not building a pinpoint solution, and it's counterintuitive because everything that you were told as a young startup is focus, focus, focus.
Right.
Think very, very narrow. And we intentionally understood that we need to be a bit broader, we need to experiment a bit more, but that would allow us to focus later on what's important, but create the right infrastructure layer that would allow us to move very fast in an ever-changing world that constantly changes. And this is creating a lot of the pieces that define our moat.
Before GenAI, it was so hard to build. Everything was about focus, right? Lean startup, do the MVP, the minimum that you need to do to get a little bit of traction, and then bring more. And I think that in today's day and age, it seems like it's so easy to get to this point, but it's not only easy for you, it's easy for everyone.
Yep.
So you have to be a little bit more strategic and kind of plan like the second step and third step on how you're building a true deep platform that can also generate a lot.
And we talked about this between us in other cases. We've made an experiment, we've built a product, and then we realized that it's so thin that it would not provide enough value. And although customer requested it, we killed it. We understood that you need to kill that in order to stay focused. So we went broad, we found something, and then we killed it, which is also something important for the entrepreneurs that are watching this. Don't be afraid to kill products.
Absolutely, that's a great lesson.
Yeah.
Elad, thank you so much for coming. I mean, it was such an interesting conversation. Your journey, your insights, reflections on what you did in the past, and how things might need to be adopted and changed in this era. So it was a pleasure to host you here.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure. Always happy to be here and also give forward to the industry. So Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.